Hello. Hello.
Is this you in?
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Captain Brown, Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've looked into this, and if you got a copy of the video, I'd like to be able to see it, because what I'm being told and what you're saying is entirely two different things. So, can you bring the video up so we can view it?
I will certainly try to do that. What are they saying, sir?
Well, I mean, the reason they wasn't checking the car is because one had a black male that was issuing a citation to, and the other one was speaking to an Asian girl who happened to be on the phone, and so he was trying to watch her as well as the other one, so they wasn't checking traffic.
That part is actually pretty true in a way. The watching the Asian or whatever. When I came around the curve, I wouldn't video in this part because I didn't expect the check to be there. But when I came around the curve, the deputy that I assumed was watching the Asian girl was not quite on the center line. She was over against his car talking on the cell phone.
Right.
Okay. He stepped back across the yellow line to the side the other deputy was on. He was handing the papers back. He had apparently finishing up, and the black guy was smiling, and if he was watching her, I drove between him and the one he's saying he's watching.
Yeah.
In other words, he stepped out of the way, glanced at me, apparently seen I had my seatbelt on, and that is the extent of that part, and that is not on video.
Yeah, okay.
And so if he was watching, I mean, there was no reason that he shouldn't have just, I had slowed down, prepared to stop because I assumed they was going after my wife.
Yeah. In fact, I think because when I talked to him, in fact, I called him after I talked to you, and because he told me, he said, once we, I think the one of the officers actually went up to where you were at.
Yes, that's like I turned around.
The lady was very upset that somebody was filming her, receiving a ticket. She, he talked to her and said, don't, people do that, don't worry about it, blah, blah, blah. And, but as far as he said she was not Hispanic.
Okay. I'll buy that. I can't tell exactly what she was.
He issued a ticket, but I think she went on about her business, I think.
But the thing is that in other words, my issue with it is that the deputy that said he was watching her or whatever, he was let me go between him and her, looked at me, and glanced at my windshield. I reckon it's still my inspection sticker and seatbelt. That's what I'm guessing. That's strictly a guess. Stepped back out of the way and talking over his shoulder to the other deputy and watched me pass right by.
Right.
And that is not on the video. The other deputy that came up there told me that he did say he was busy writing the ticket, which he had finished the ticket, that he was handing the papers back.
Right.
The black guy was smiling, fixing to pull off.
Right.
And I see, my issue with it, I see no reason that when I came through, he couldn't raise his hand to let me see his driver's license. Instead, he stepped out of the way to the right of the truck. In other words, he stepped from off to the right lane, looked at me and let me just breathe right on through. And I have a big problem with that. I mean, in other words, I ain't wanting to get checked everywhere I go, but if they're going to be checking others, I feel like and matter of fact, there were several cars that, while the other one ran up the road. Yeah, I mean, and that was who was. He came up there and told me the reason he checked me because I turned around and he thought I was trying to avoid him. I mean, you don't turn around. I don't see nothing suspicious about turning around heading back toward the road check. I mean,
well, of course, I've been doing this for years, and when you have road checks, and if you don't recognize a vehicle that's, because some people have actually come through a checkpoint and then stop down the road, and maybe me being the second or third officer didn't actually see it. I thought, what's he doing? And I go up there because, you're always concerned about, what have they done, or are they switching drivers if it's two of them, or just what's going on?
So I know he came up to see what I was doing. There's nothing really, I wasn't upset about that. He asked me, said I got, frankly, I got pretty well enraged because I said, I don't think that's right, Captain. I'm going to tell you what, I do not think what happened out there is right. There was no reason he couldn't have checked me. There was no reason, not this deputy that ran up there and talked to me, but the other one, he could have easily been checking cars right on it. It did not, if he trusted the girl not to stand there and be on the cell phone and him stand over in the other lane, I can't see where he was watching too much.
Yeah.
So you got no problem with that, the way that is then?
No, I don't.
Okay, I reckon.
I just, I want my officer to be safe, and I'm the type of person that if I've probably been in a similar situation, but my best thing or my advice to them is if you're dealing with somebody, then you stand over there with them and not in the road, but stand with them, because you don't know the people you stop. 99% of the time you don't know them.
I understand.
You don't know what they've done. And my thing is, hey, keep your eye on them. Stand to where you can see them. If they want to call somebody, by all means, let them call. And I'm not one that, I don't want to listen to somebody's conversation. But from what he's telling me, this lady was, she was just as polite as she could be. And I forgot the violation he was citing her for. But she was, just as friendly, and she was making a phone call. And so that's why he just didn't feel like he's just standing right there with her, so he didn't. So I really don't have.
Yeah, and in other words, he stepped out over and let me pass between him and her, and yet he was, felt that the situations was such that he couldn't be checking cars, and still that cars passed between him and the person he was watching.
Well, I guess I didn't inquire. I didn't query him enough to get right there. I just talked to him on the phone briefly to find out what was going on. He knows how to operate checkpoints, and you got a plan, and you go by that plan. You don't deviate from it. If traffic is backed up, then yes. If it comes down to the safety of those vehicles, then you let them pass through if they get backed up.
I could
When you check one, then you check them all. You don't just, he said, Captain, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. And so we talked a little bit, and I told him I'd see him again today and kind of go over some more to make sure everything was kosher on it. What he told me the other day, I don't have a problem with it because I see that he didn't violate the checkpoint standards that's in the 20-16.3.
Okay. All right. I'll accept your judgment on it. I do feel like that that myself, I do feel like that it was, pick and choose but that's a personal feeling. I can't sit there and say what was in their heart,
Yes, sir.
And, but if much of that goes on, then that is strictly against what Terry told me, because I've asked him the very same question face to face, and he says if they got a checkup, they stop everybody.
Yeah. And by statute, that's what happens. Unless something dictates different, to where it would be a traffic issue. And of course, I guess my blessing on this right here, on this particular one, is if you're dealing with somebody, then you get out of the road. Don't stand in the road and just watch people go by. You get to the side of the road. That's my advice to them in the future checkpoints.
That was the issue. If I thought he was watching a suspect that he had any fear of, I would have made the call, because I could see the other was finishing up something.
Right.
The one deputy was finishing up something, and but that one showed no. He gave no. The one, I assume he was the one that had the Asian girl stop, but he showed no indication he had anything in the world to do, and not that. In other words, in fact, after he glanced at me passing through, he was comfortable enough to be talking over his shoulder to the other deputy.
Right.
And
well, that was an issue that I talked about. If you have somebody stop, then you stay with them. You don't have to be right beside them, but you stay with them and deal with them and let traffic go on.
I would have felt better if that's what had happened, sir.
Yeah, and I appreciate you calling me and making me aware of this, because it's an issue that I did address last week, and I'm going to address it again today to make sure that these checkpoints are done exactly the way they're supposed to be, and not get yourself in a bind or get hurt or anything else.
I appreciate it. I'll accept your judgment on this one. But you tell them judges, if the gas goes down, I'm going to be riding around with my camera now, because they got me suspicious. They done got me suspicious.
Well, there's a lot that goes on, but I want to tell you, this gas is a killer, buddy.
Yeah.
It is.
And, tell them I believe in them staying safe, but by gosh, do a good job down there. I mean, I appreciate what you do, but with this immigration thing and the way, I've told him, I don't care if they haul every illegal immigrant out of Alamance County, but I do not want one of my rights to give up in the process. In other words,
you're right. That's the way I feel.
All right, sir. I'll accept that for now, because nothing you saying disagrees with what I've seen outside of my opinion. My opinion don't count much.
Yes, it does, and I appreciate you calling. And you call any time that you have an issue. If it involves the patrol division, that's what I'm over. I'll be glad to address it for you.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.